Did you know that for Top Gun Maverick, the roof of the shack next to Ed Harris wasn't supposed to be lifted when Maverick flies past? However, they only had one chance to shoot it, so this was a very lucky occurrence, as the Dark Star is only a non-flying mock-up. The actual plane being used was cloned out, and an image of the Dark Star was composited over it. 2. The film is dedicated to the memory of original Top Gun director Tony Scott, who took his own life in August of 2012 at the age of 68. He had been developing his own version of a sequel before his death. 3. Kenny Loggins made a new recording of Danger Zone for the film, but Tom Cruise insisted that they use the original. 4. At the insistence of Miles Teller, he learned how to play Great Balls of Fire on the piano himself, without a double. He studied music when he was younger and still dabbles in it. 5. Because she suffers from a crippling fear of flying, Tom Cruise helped co-star Jennifer Connelly overcome her phobia by taking her for a ride in his 1946 vintage P-51 Mustang, a World War II plane he has owned since 2001. Did you know for Fargo, the snowplow that drives past the motel at the end of the film was not part of the script? Signs in the area warned motorists not to drive through due to filming, but a state employee ignored them. 2. The actors used a book called How to Talk Minnesotan to help with their accents. 3. When Carl Showalter, played by Steve Buscemi, calls Jerry Lundegaard, played by William H. Macy, for the deal to be done, he tells him, 30 minutes, and we'll wrap this up. From that moment, the film's running time left is exactly 30 minutes. 4. Even though the movie takes place mostly in Brainerd, Minnesota, the Coen brothers decided to call it Fargo, which is in North Dakota, just because they liked the sound of it for a title better than Brainerd, which was not cool enough. Fargo is where Jerry Lundegaard meets the two hoods he hires to kidnap his wife. 5. Geir Grimsrud, played by Peter Stormare, has 18 lines of dialogue in the entire movie and never says more than a complete sentence at one time. By comparison, Carl Showalter, played by Steve Buscemi, has over 150 lines of dialogue. Did you know for Trainspotting, Ewan McGregor read books about H to prepare for the role? He also went to Glasgow and met people from the Calton Athletic Recovery Group, an organization of recovering addicts. He was taught how to cook up with a spoon. McGregor even considered injecting it to better understand the character, but eventually decided against it. 2. Although it looks thoroughly off-putting, the feces in the worst toilet in Scotland scene was actually made from chocolate and smelled quite pleasant. 3. For the close-up shots of Ewan McGregor injecting himself, a prosthetic arm was constructed by the makeup department, complete with pulsing veins, smack tracks, and small pockets of blood that would appear when the skin was punctured by a hypodermic needle. 4. Kelly MacDonald got the part when the production crew were handing out flyers across Glasgow for anyone eager to audition. When Danny Boyle first laid eyes on her, with a plain hairdo, in a corridor surrounded by many glamorous girls, he knew she was the one. He wanted someone unknown, so no one would guess a 19-year-old is playing a schoolgirl. McDonald still has the promotional flyer at home. Did you know that for Heat, in an interview with Al Pacino on the DVD special edition, Pacino revealed that for the scene in the restaurant between Hannah and Macaulay, Robert De Niro felt that the scene should not be rehearsed so that the unfamiliarity between the two characters would seem more genuine. Michael Mann agreed and shot the scene with no practice rehearsals. Michael Mann ran 2 cameras simultaneously in order to generate a greater level of fluidity between both rivals. Since there were no rehearsals for the scene, this approach afforded both men a more generous margin for improvisational experimentation. 2. Rather than dubbing in the gunshots during the bank robbery shootout, Michael Mann had microphones carefully placed around the set so that the audio could be captured live. This added to the impact of the scene because it sounded like no other gunfight shown on screen before. 3. When Kevin Gage was imprisoned for 2 years in 2003, he was universally addressed by fellow inmates and prison guards as Waingro, his character from this movie. 4. In an early draft of the script, Vincent Hanna had a yayo habit, which, according to Al Pacino, explains his bombastic outbursts. Did you know that for Suicide Squad, the helicopter crash scene was the last to be shot, just in case any of the cast members got injured, which would delay filming? 2. Margot Robbie revealed at San Diego Comic-Con in 2016 that although the cast members of the squad had extensive rehearsals together, she and Jared Leto did not rehearse prior to filming their scenes. She and director David Ayer felt it added to the unpredictability and madness of Harley Quinn and the Joker. 3. The majority of the cast and crew got the Tattoo Squad in honor of this film. The tattoos were even applied by some of the cast members, Margot Robbie and Will Smith. 4. When perfecting the Joker's laugh, Jared Leto publicly tried different laughs in New York City and Toronto to see which ones made people the most uncomfortable. 5. Tom Hardy was originally cast as Rick Flag, but dropped out to do The Revenant. Hardy had previously played Bane in The Dark Knight Rises, who was a former member of the Suicide Squad in the comic books. Hardy later expressed his regret at leaving the role, given that he did not want to lose the work. Did you know that for Million Dollar Baby, producer Albert S. Ruddy loved the story and was determined to make it into a movie, and spent 4 years trying to find backers who were interested in helping him make it? "I couldn't get anybody interested," he said in an interview. "And I'm talking about people who are friends of mine, people I've done business with for years. They'd tell me who wants to see a movie about 2 old grizzled guys and a girl fighter?" Eventually, he found someone interested, Clint Eastwood. He read the script and said it's a downer, but God, it's gorgeous. 2. At age 74, Clint Eastwood became the oldest Best Director Oscar winner for this movie. 3. Hilary Swank contracted a bacterial infection from a blister she developed on her foot during training for her role. The infection was so serious that she almost had to be hospitalized for 3 weeks. Catching the infection in the nick of time, she instead chose to take a week off for medicated rest and didn't tell Clint Eastwood or the other producers of this movie about the injury, because she didn't believe it was in character. Did you know for 2001 A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick worked for several months with effects technicians to come up with a convincing effect for the floating pen in the shuttle sequence? After trying many different techniques without success, Kubrick decided to simply use a pen that was adhered, using newly invented double-sided tape, to a sheet of glass and suspended in front of the camera. In fact, the shuttle attendant can be seen to pull the pen off the glass when she takes hold of it. 2. Stanley Kubrick wanted to get an insurance policy from Lloyd's of London to protect himself against losses in the event that extraterrestrial intelligence were discovered before the movie was released. Lloyd's refused. Carl Sagan commented, "In the mid-1960s, there was no search being performed for extraterrestrial intelligence, and the chances of accidentally stumbling on extraterrestrial intelligence in a few years' period was extremely small. Lloyd's of London missed a good bet." 3. According to Katharina Kubrick, Stanley Kubrick provided the breathing herd in the spacesuits. Did you know that for American Psycho, looking for a way to create the character of Patrick Bateman, Christian Bale stumbled onto a Tom Cruise appearance on The Late Show with David Letterman? According to co-writer and director Mary Harron, Bale saw in Cruise this very intense friendliness with nothing behind the eyes, and Bale subsequently based the character of Bateman on that. Interestingly, Tom Cruise is actually featured in the novel. He lives in the same apartment complex as Bateman, who meets him in an elevator and gets the name of the movie Cocktail wrong, calling it Bartender. 2. During the shooting of the film, Christian Bale spoke in an American accent offset at all times. At the wrap party, when he began to speak in his native British accent, many of the crew thought he was speaking that way as an accent for another film. They had thought he was American throughout the entire shoot. 3. During production, Christian Bale followed the morning routine that his character Patrick Bateman describes toward the beginning of the film. 4. The single biggest cost on the film was purchasing the rights to the various songs used throughout.